What's up, y'all? My name is Aaron Mallory, aka Mr. Let Go, and today I want to have a conversation about a very important question. What is the difference between a man's love versus a woman's love? And how can you make this work for you? This is going to be deep. Let's get it. Now, if you're new to my channel, I teach people how to let go of what is no longer serving their best interests by showing the psychological reason why men and women actually do the things that they do. Now, first, it's very important for all of us, men as well as women, to simply understand that the opposite sex loves differently than you do. But how differently? What do we do with this information? Have you ever fell in love with somebody and you started acting in a way where you want to show them how much you love them, and then you do all these different things and you're a certain person to them, but as time goes by, you realize that they're not that particular person back towards you, and this love that you're giving to them doesn't seem to be reciprocated. And you get a little frustrated. You start feeling like you're not appreciated. You may start pulling back. You may start complaining. You may start trying to communicate your issues in a way that the person may not even really get. And in their eyes, they may feel like they're loving you the best that they can, but it's not enough because your perception of love may be different than their perception of love. And like always, if you've been watching my videos long enough, you know I always take things back to our upbringing, the way we were raised, the way we were loved. See, different people, not just male and female, but different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, we all were loved differently. Now, love in itself is simply safety. As a baby, your mother held you close to her, made you feel safe. And as time went by, you trusted your mom to protect you from, the world, and to feed you and clothe you and to shelter you, right? But as time went by, we started needing different things, and our needs came from our upbringing. Certain people needed certain things that they weren't getting. Certain people needed certain things that they were getting, but they wanted more of them. Like, as an example, if you grew up with 5 siblings and the person you're dating was an only child, your perception of attention may be totally different than theirs. And on top of that, I talked about how your mother, made you feel safe and loved you and all that when you were little. Some people were adopted. Some people didn't have that loving mother to hold them to their bosom when they were little. Some people never felt that before. Some people were raised by their grandmother or their auntie or their father, and their relationship with their mother in particular has always been tumultuous. So all these factors really add to how somebody sees and perceives love. So the first thing I want you to look at or think about is, how were you loved and what did you get versus what you wanted? Did you get the love that you wanted, or is it certain things that you realize to this day you did not get when you were young? This right here will give you a good understanding of what type of love you want, need, or require from a mate that they may not be giving to you, because that person may have gotten that or may not have gotten that, and they may not realize that they don't have it in them to give to somebody else because their parents, the people that they loved, didn't give it to them. Let's say the way you give love is through affection. Like, you're always up under your mate. You love being around that person. You give them hugs, you kiss on them, and you're very, very close from a proximity standpoint, right? But for whatever reason, that person tends to push you away and they're not affectionate back. And now you feel like you're unloved. But what if that particular person that you're with, that you love, didn't get that affection growing up. And every time they were around their mom and they were around their dad or they were around their uncle or their aunt, that particular person that they loved and trusted pushed them away. I talk to a lot of different women. I talk to a lot of different men, and there's a lot of people walking around who are not affectionate at all. And usually it comes from their mother not being affectionate, or the people that they loved in their family, they just weren't affectionate. So does it mean that that person doesn't love you because they're not affectionate? I don't know. Just checking. Did you hit the like button yet? Are you liking the video? Did you subscribe yet? Yeah? All right, let's get back to it. And I would actually say to consider pulling away from that person who isn't affectionate to you, even though they may be loving you and giving you the love that they feel like they are giving you and is warranted, but you can easily get to the point where you can regret this person for not giving you what you in particular need and want from somebody else. If you were loved as a kid through affection and the person you're with does not give you that affection and they love you, but they just don't give you that, you can easily get to the point where you can start resenting that person, because this is what you need. And it's important for you to make sure you're in a position to get what you need. Don't start settling. Don't start feeling like, well, I know they love me, so I'm just going to ignore the things that I need because I know they love me. They may love you, but they're not loving you in a way or in a manner that you need them to love you. That is a huge deal breaker. Love itself, just love, is not enough. It has to be the love that you need. So an easy way for you to gauge the way you love versus the way other people love, and even the way your parents love, is to look at love languages. Now, for those of you who do not know what this is, there was this genius named Gary Chapman that came up with the 5 love languages. The 5 love languages are acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, physical touch, and words of affirmation. So if you are the physical touch person who's affectionate and you love spending time with a person, but they don't necessarily have the time for you, or they're not a touchy-feely person, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't love you. Your love languages are just simply physical touch and quality time. It's important for you to look at how they love you or how they feel like they love you. You know, you could just ask a person, how do you express your love to me? I just want to know like what you're going to say. And they'll say, what do you mean? Look around. I do all these things for you. I buy you everything you want. Every time something breaks or whatever, I'm right there. I'm not putting it off. I fixed the deck. I did this. I painted this room. Everything you need. Every time I'm at work, I bring you lunch when you're at your job. That particular example of that person showing you love would be gifts and acts of service. Acts of service is simply doing things for somebody to show them that they love them. And gifts, which is simply, I buy you the things that you feel like you want, you know? So it's important for you to know how this particular person loves. Now, that's the first part. Now we're about to get into, do men love women the same way women love men? My answer to this in particular is no. I don't think any man loves a woman the same way a woman loves a man. Women are nurturers, right? So from a nurturing standpoint, she's going to make sure he's okay in some type of way. But as far as a man, his way of making sure she's okay is going to be different, because we are protectors and providers. Now, not all men are the same and not all women are the same, but I do think men and women love differently. So with that being said, it's important for you to gauge how this other person is loving you versus how you're loving them. because sometimes you can be the unfair one. You can be the person that is like unreasonable because they're not reciprocating their love the way you are giving the love. They may not have it in them because that's not how they were raised. Some people were raised with emotional deficits and they don't know how to give the thing that you want them to give you simply because they never got it. Like I said earlier in the video. So as far as a man or a woman loving you, they're not going to love you the same way regardless because they were raised differently and they're a different sex. And it's important for us to not have these unreasonable expectations of what the opposite sex should be doing or should be thinking. The opposite sex does not think like you. I hear a lot of women say, well, shouldn't guys be ready to settle down by this time? Shouldn't guys do this? Why don't guys do that? Because they literally think that men think like women. We don't. That is very important for all of us to be aware of. The opposite sex does not want the same things that we want when we want them. And the opposite sex does not think the same way we think. So let's do this. I want you to write down a couple things and share this with the person you're dating or your mate, your husband, your wife. First thing I want you to write down is, what are my two primary love languages? The second thing I want you to write down, what are my parents' two primary love languages? And then if you have a mate, find out the same thing about them. And if you're single, simply write down how you want to be loved. If someone has a different love language as you, which of the two love languages do you not want or need? Like, for example, say you're not the gift type of person. You don't want anybody to buy you anything. Like, you're really humble. You're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want this. I don't want that. Well, that's important, right? Because if you start dating a person who has a gift love language, they're going to keep trying to shower you with things that you may not want. And they may not feel loved by you. And you're simply the type of person that doesn't like gifts. But this is how they love. What do? Nothing. So it's important for you to pay attention to the two love languages or one love language or three love languages that you literally do not need or want from another person. Like quality time, right? What if you're not really that quality time person? You're really busy and you're doing all these different things. And the last thing you need is somebody all up under you all the time, texting you and calling you like, hey, spend time with me, spend time with me. That particular thing might annoy the crap out of you, but that person may simply be trying to love you and they may feel unloved by you because you don't like that particular thing. So what are the love languages that you don't necessarily like, want, or need? Like, take me for an example. I am not an acts of service person. I'm not coming to fix your wash machine, or if something goes out, I'm not going to fix it. I don't even cut my own grass. I just don't have time to be doing all these serviceable things, right? I'll pay for something to get fixed at your house or whatever, but I'm not the guy who's just going to go up in your attic and fix this, and I'm not even doing it because I got other stuff to do. So the last thing I'm going to do is get with a woman that expects that handyman type of guy, because she's going to be heavily disappointed because that's not me. And then on the other end, I don't want a woman running around doing all these different things for me. Like, I actually don't even want a woman that cooks a lot, because with me being aware of myself, I'm very busy. I'm doing a lot of different things. And if you cook every night at 8 o'clock, guess what? You're most likely, if we're close or if we're together, you're most likely going to be expecting me at your house or home by 8 o'clock. Every night, because you cooked for us. Now I'm obligated to be at a certain place at a certain time because you want to do something for me. that's not my life. That's not my schedule. So you doing things for me can actually get in the way of you loving me, because I'm not necessarily going to accept it. Hope that makes sense. So are you genuinely loving somebody and you're a little upset that they're not reciprocating the love back to you? Well, it's important for you to look at all these different things that I talked about, because that person may be loving you back just in a different way. And like I said, a man isn't, even if you guys have the same love languages, I can't really see a man loving you the same way you love him, because you're a nurturer and he's a protector. So regardless of what the love languages are, just understand that you can't expect the opposite sex to love you the same way you love them. So your perception of life may be totally different because they're the opposite sex. The way they were raised may be different because they're the opposite sex, along with everything else. So just be patient with a person when you feel like they're not reciprocating, because you may have just simply picked the wrong person, or you may not be patient with that particular person. But you got to know the difference, because patience is important, but self-awareness is even more important than patience. If this video helped you, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. On top of that, though, listen to my podcast if you haven't. My podcast link is in the description. We talk about all these different things every Wednesday at 7. Y'all have a wonderful day.